Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra.
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting, untold stories of people
Associated with the creation
or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked,
and sometimes what didn't,
you will also hear very personal experiences.
and insights that would trigger your thoughts
and inspire you to do even greater things.
Before we jump into today's conversation, a special thanks to PM Power Consulting for encouraging and supporting this show right from the start. With over 1,000 person years of collective experience, PM Power has helped many organizations, teams, and individuals chart out their own journeys of excellence and make progress. Thank you, PM Power. Now, let's move to today's episode.
In this conversation with Sunil David, who's a prolific speaker, and he's got like 32,000 followers in LinkedIn, and he speaks with so many industry events on a monthly basis. Sunil has started his journey working in railways, creating, using his ECE, electronics and communication engineering background, creating software in railways and in various things. He talks about how his persistence to understanding and learning the space of IoT has created an excellent impact, both through his career with Telstra as well as AT&T. Later, he shares the last 4 years, he has been a force in enabling, accelerating these startups either in their IoT or in the supply chain or ESG parameters. He talks with several examples which are grounded in reality as well as very, very interesting ones. So I hope you'll enjoy. Listen on. Hi, Sunil. Welcome to Software People Stories.
Hi, Gayatri. Thank you for inviting me for this.
So happy to have you here. Sunil, I know you for now 7 years, the first time when you came on board for Anita B event. Can you give a short introduction to our listeners, Sunil?
Sure, Gayatri. So I started my career way back in 1994, more than 3 decades back. And been a very satisfying and fulfilling journey over the last 3 decades. Having done my electronics and communication engineering, I'm one of those lucky few who were able to continue in that same field for so many years. I started off with a very small company where I was installing multiplexers across different parts of India, essentially a railway network where they needed to connect mainframe computers to remote terminals. And there are these multiplexers which are used to connect the mainframe to these remote terminals. Spent about a year with them, and then I joined a company called CMS Computers, where we were providing networking solutions, LAN, WAN networks, and spent about a year. And then 96 is when I joined Telstra Vicom, and Telstra Vicom was a joint venture between Telstra Australia and VSNL, Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited, which was later on acquired by Tata. Now it's called Tata Communications Limited. But I joined Telstra Vicom at the time, just 2 years after India opened up the telecom sector to private enterprises. So before 94, India was totally controlled by BSNL, that time Department of Telecom. We had only one option for telecom services, but 94 is when the telecom policy was announced, and 96 is when private operators started to offer telecom services, mobile services, landline services, and all that. And even satellite communication services were provided by private operators. And I joined this company just providing VSAT services. So I kind of been across the length and breadth of the country installing what is called as VSATs, very small aperture terminals, and the rooftops to enable them to have connectivity between their offices. So I did a lot of installations. I was also in the sales department for some time. Spent about 4 years with them. Then I joined Polaris Software for about a year and a half. In 2000, when I got my real break, Gayatri, when I joined AT&T, I was the sales manager for part of the southern region, selling all the AT&T telecom services. and spent almost 14 years with AT&T. I progressed to being a regional head for part of the southern region. And then I left AT&T in 2015 and joined Telstra again, but this was a different venture of Telstra, the head of sales for India, again providing connectivity services to large enterprises, and spent about a little over a year. And then 2017 March is when I came back to AT&T in a new role as the head of the IoT business. And even before I came back to AT&T in my new role in 2017, I always had that passion in the area of IoT because as IoT penetration, as IoT adoption started around 2011, 2012, very early days. That really caught my attention because we are so used to connectivity of, say, our PCs, our phones, tablets to the internet. But here we're talking about things being connected to an internet, right? A car being connected to the internet, a machine being connected to the internet, any physical asset being connected to the internet. And that really caught my attention. I'm just wondering, this is going to be really revolutionary because a very good opportunity for telecom providers and other stakeholders to really monetize this. Because imagine if you're able to connect things to the internet and extract data from that, huge value that can be provided to large enterprises. And so I always had that passion even before I took this role with AT&T in 2017 March. So I spent about 4.5 to 5 years in that new role where I was responsible for building the AT&T partner ecosystem, the IoT space. I was also responsible for working with our sales team to position IoT services of AT&T to the enterprise customers in India and ASEAN. Also, during that time, engaged with a number of startups in the IoT space. That gave me a lot of exposure to some of the very exciting solutions some of these startups were offering. Because while AT&T had a good breadth of capabilities, there are certain gaps which were covered by solutions from startups. And that's when I connected to many IoT startups between 2017 and 2022. April 2022 is when I left AT&T. And that's when I started my journey as a solopreneur. I decided that I had enough of corporate life, and I thought it's time to give something back to the country. And especially I wanted to do something for the AI and IoT startups because what I observed in my second tenure with AT&T is that there are many very good startups who have very good solutions, very good products, but what they need is access to market opportunities, right? And I was wanting to play that role of being a bridge between the startup and the enterprise customer because I knew many of these connects, many CXOs, and I thought I can start helping some of these startups. And that's when I started my innings as an independent consultant. First started with consulting a startup which was doing something in the area of supply chain. And then later on, early 2023, I formally signed up as a consultant with the Bangalore company, which is called Digital Blanket. They're doing a lot of work in the area of sustainability and climate change and using technology, how you can manage your environment better. How do you manage waste, water, energy is what they offer. About 2.5 years since I've been associated with them, been a great journey so far. And apart from that, Gayatri, I've been working on a number of initiatives with CII. I'm part of the CII National AI Forum, where we are working on initiatives where we can ensure a lot more awareness is created about benefits of AI, a lot more use cases that we are trying to showcase to enterprise customers so they realize the benefits that AI can offer. And part of that, we're working on a number of initiatives where we sensitize customers about the benefits of AI. We do events. And also we have award programs where we reward companies for the use of AI. I'm also part of the CI Southern Region Task Force for Technology Adoption and Digital Transformation, where we are wanting to do something for the small and medium enterprises. We have identified about 200 plus small and medium enterprises within the Southern region, where we are trying to help these enterprises to really get started on the digital transformation journey. And I'm part of the task force. We're working on initiatives trying to help these help these enterprises get started on digital transformation. A couple of other initiatives with CII, but one initiative which is very close to my heart, and that is my association with NASSCOM. NASSCOM, as you know, is India's largest IT industry body, and they have the NASSCOM Foundation, which works on a number of initiatives. And one big initiative is in the area of diversity and inclusion. And one initiative which they started in 2020 is called Women Wizards Rule Tech, which is one of India's biggest digital skilling initiatives. And NASSCOM Foundation, in conjunction with Ministry of Electronics and IT, started this program with the objective to have women skilled in different digital technologies like IoT, AI, cloud computing, robotic process automation, cyber security, and so on. And so what NASSCOM Foundation does is it partners with the enterprise and gets women leaders from across different levels, both tech and non-tech, to be part of a 1-year online learning program where they get exposed to these technologies. And for the last 5 years, I've been associated with them as a IoT tech guru and a mentor. I'm also the chair of the IoT advisory group. So the last 5 years, I've done multiple sessions. I would have probably addressed close to 5,000 women over the last 5 years through various sessions of mine. We also, during my sessions, get senior women leaders from the industry to come and share about what they have been doing in their respective companies, how they have been adopting IoT and other technologies and seeing impact, and also talk about their career journey and so on. Gayatri.
Oh,
And
wow.
2 years back, I signed up with T-Hub, India's largest startup incubator, as a mentor to startups. So I'm mentoring a few AI and IoT startups who are doing a lot of work in the sustainability and climate change space. And last December, I signed up in Indian School of Business as a faculty for the virtual ISB online program, which is a program for working executives of business technology and innovation with AI is what the program is called. And the program leader for IoT. So I do a lot of these virtual sessions for working executives. So that's in a nutshell about what I've been doing, Gayatri. Thanks.
Oh my God, Sunil, I have so much to unpack now. So I think, one is, do you also have the same 24 hours that all of us do?
Of course I do, but I have enough time for my family, enough time for my recreation. But after the whole objective of leaving corporate after 30 years of experience, or 28 years of experience, was to have that flexibility to do what I like, have that flexibility to do things at my own pace, and not to be pressured with the usual work pressures and all that stuff. So I just wanted that flexibility and really do things which I'm passionate about, which is sharing my experiences, sharing my learnings, mentoring young women and men, and trying to do something for the startups. Gayatri.
I know, Sunil, you are a mentor in Sangatna Angels platform as well. And I want to first unpack the initial, your initial days of 6 years where you spent your effort. I think if I hear your career journey, first is your, actually as a starting stages of using technology and actually leveraging technology. The next big step is your AT&T growth story of honing in on IoT. I remember that was also the time when I was part of Cisco Systems, when John Chambers, the then Cisco's head, he said Internet of Everything. So that's when IPv6 started, and we were like all blue-eyed, and like blue-eyed because John Chambers' eyes is blue. So we were all like, this is where it is. And oh my God, I can totally relate to your journey. I want to, I know you sort of crystallized your base on technology from software as well as more of IoT in the AT&T. So what are your few stories that you can share in that journey that made you the person who you are today?
My second stint with AT&T from 2017 March to April 2022, that was a very important phase of my career because I was doing something which I'm passionate about, which is trying to position IoT and talk about IoT, benefits to enterprise customers, because I knew it can create business impact. But second thing is that I had a big territory to manage, India and ASEAN. And also, my speaking engagements actually started after I took up that new role, Gayatri. 2017, to be very precise, 9th August 2017 is the first public platform that I had to go and give a keynote at an IoT event. Okay, because what I felt is that I didn't have too many resources at my disposal. And in order for me to get people or enterprises to know about what AT&T can do in IoT space, the only option for me was, apart from, of course, going to customers and directly talking to them about what we're doing, and also, of course, trying to build some partners, but speaking at public platforms, because you get a bigger audience, you connect with the different speakers, and that really helped me a lot, Gayatri, right from 2017 onwards, and as of date, I probably, and thanks to industry bodies, I probably would have spoken at close to 400 industry forums as on date, covering a broad range of topics: IoT, AI, metaverse, future of work, cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. But a couple of very important learnings for me, especially over the last 5 to 6 years. One is that while there have been a lot of effort from different stakeholders in the whole IoT ecosystem, guys who make IoT devices, guys who provide IoT platforms, IoT connectivity services, and niche IoT players, the entire ecosystem, a lot of effort from them to position IoT and get the enterprises sensitive about the benefits of IoT. There are a lot of industry bodies like CII and ASCOM are doing their bit, a lot of events happening on IoT. But with all that, the current adoption, when you look at India, of IoT is still very low. And there are various reasons for that. I won't go into the reasons. A couple of them. One is, the cost of IoT hardware, which has always been on the higher side because India never had manufacturers who can make those devices in India. They're mostly coming from outside, China, Taiwan, and Korea, and so on. So the cost of hardware is actually coming down. So that should give a impetus to growth of IoT. But as on date, I feel we just scratched the surface. The opportunity is really huge, right? So, and of course, cybersecurity is one reason. The moment you expose an asset to the internet, it is potentially hackable. Then the cost of implementing IoT, of course, overall, there is that initial investment. So there are various factors which have contributed to the fact that IoT adoption hasn't grown. But today, there are enough drivers for IoT growth to happen. One, of course, being that the cost of hardware is coming down. Companies have realized a lot more why they should adopt IoT. It's now a strategic necessity for their survival and growth. The technology is a lot more mature today. A lot more connectivity options. Earlier days, you just had cellular and maybe some wired connectivity. Today, you have a lot more options for connectivity, including satellite, right? So the adoption drivers are much better now. And I would say that in the next 3 to 4 years is when we should perhaps see, significant adoption of IoT, not just in India, but globally as well. Okay. Just think of it, Gayatri. There are billions of assets in the world, right? And just look at a country as India. Just look at the assets. You look at factory. You have machines. You have material handling equipment. In a large enterprise, you have a lot of assets, right? So many of these assets. Imagine the value that you can unlock when you get data from these assets. The first biggest use case for IoT is trying to monitor assets to check for its utilization, efficiency of those assets. And imagine when you can get all the data to really make sure that you're sweating the assets, that you're maximizing the use of the assets, because these assets that, especially if you look at manufacturing, these assets don't come cheap. They're spending crores of rupees buying machines. And if you can really make sure that you're able to drive a lot more efficiency, a lot more productivity, manage that within the shop floor, it can really, go a long way in improving their overall revenue and profitability of a manufacturing company, right? And there are billions of assets. And once you extract data and when they're able to get the insights from the data, provides tremendous value for the company. And imagine, Gayatri, you're getting so much of data. Then the next thing which you do is you got networks just to transmit the data.
Yeah.
Then you need cloud storage, compute to have the data. You need platforms. You need integration with backend applications, right? So it gives an opportunity for so many other players, right? Cloud providers, platform providers, device manufacturers, connectivity providers, and so on, right? So just see the impact it would have as IoT adoption increases. It will just result in humongous amount of data being generated. and opportunities to monetize is really huge,
Yeah.
right? So so that's
Amazing
what I would
multiplier.
say.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing multiplier effect. And I also like the fact that because you were also the IoT head, not only you sort of use that as an opportunity to bring a lot of awareness among multiple industry bodies. I would have to say, if when I'm sitting here, have some 7 devices next to me, which are, I wouldn't say sentient, but they all have an IP address, if that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes.
So coming to, going to ask you some question around your IoT and the industry bodies, right? See, when we often talk about AI and machine learning and everything, so the data availability is the key, isn't it? Industry 4.0 or now 6.0, whichever you want to call it, because having the data is the key base on top of which all the intelligence lies.
Yes.
Right? And I mean, the various aspects that you said, network, and then having those data platforms, and then actually making decisions and so on and so forth. So do you think that has changed in the from 2017 to now? How do you think that has changed? I know you're working with so many industry bodies and companies of using IoT.
So see, today, data extraction from physical world is still a challenge. I'll just take manufacturing, for example, because I work very closely with the manufacturing industry. If you just look at any large manufacturer or even a medium-sized manufacturer, and especially some of these manufacturers, it could be in cement, it can be steel, automotive, chemicals, pharma, and so on. A lot of these manufacturers have machinery which dates back to 20 years, 30 years. Some of them have machinery which they have acquired maybe the last couple of years back, right? So they have a very heterogeneous environment. Some old machines, you cannot extract data from them. It's very difficult. The more newer machines, say about 15, 20 years old, you can extract data from a programmable logical controller or a distributed control system, PLC or DCS, or any SCADA system, supervisory control and data acquisition system. You can extract data through these systems from the newer machinery. And using the data, you can monitor the health of the machine and so on. But some of the older machines, there are still manufacturers who have some of these old machines and you cannot extract data. So there it becomes very difficult. And of course, there are solutions. You can have sensors that we can use to maybe measure vibration, temperature, capture images using camera, and so on, right? So data extraction is still a challenge. But today, there are solutions available where you can extract data. Okay, that's number one. Second is, not just in manufacturing, but even in other industries like healthcare, retail, and I'll again stick to manufacturing here, but data is in silos. So for example, in a shop floor, you might have shop floor related data. The data goes into a production system. That production system data is separate, supply chain data is separate, procurement data is separate. So basically, you have data which is in silos. And the need to unify the data and integrate all the data, right? So that is very important. And see, one very important thing, Gayatri, is just getting sensor data from a machine or a vehicle is not good enough. You need to add context to the data. Okay, what I mean by that is, so for example, you have a machine in a factory and you're getting data related to its vibration, its temperature, its overall functioning. But the moment you start getting data about when was that last time the machine was serviced, what is the service history, what was the problem earlier for that machine. If you get information about the environmental conditions under which that machine is operating. So you need weather data. You need access to the historian, past service history of that machine, vendor details, right? The moment you add context, the data becomes a lot more richer. And when you are able to add context to pure IoT data, sensor data, then it gives a lot more visibility to the shop floor manager, and he'll be able to get better data to make the right decisions. Because at the end of the day, you're going to use all this data to get the insights, and basis insights, you want to be in a position to make the right decisions and you also want to predict business outcomes, right? So using the data, you analyze the data, you build an AI model, and over a period of time, you get to a stage where you can predict when the machine might fail or a subsystem within that machine might fail, and then you can take action proactively, right? I mean, predictive is the way to go, right? So what we are clearly seeing is the move from being reactive to predictive, and that applies even to healthcare, Gayatri. I mean, imagine if I'm monitoring my health vitals, my pulse, my temperature, body, whatever key vitals, heart rate, and so on. And I'm able to monitor my vitals in real time over a period of time. You get to a stage where you can predict when you might have a problem, right? When there could be a potential artery block, which might cause a cardiac arrest, right? When you can probably get to a stage where you might have a fatty liver kind of a condition, right? So, and then you can make lifestyle changes, you can make dietary changes and all that, right? So what we're clearly seeing is that the need to predict, to act proactively before something really happens and causes damage, right? So that's something which is clearly emerging. And this is only possible with thanks to data that we're getting generated, thanks to AI, and also the cost of technology is also coming down, Gayatri. Today, you have, if you look at India, our data plan cost, 5G or 4G, is the most cost effective compared to any other country.
Agree. It is the cheapest across the globe. Yeah.
Whoa, yeah. So the cost of connectivity is low. A cost of cloud infrastructure, cloud today, if any enterprise wants to host applications in the cloud, compared to what it was before, it is much cheaper and cost effective now. Cloud providers are also very aggressive in reducing rates, right? Hardware costs have come down, right? So the cost of technology is getting a lot more lower, and hopefully it will get lower even further. Hence, there's enough of a driver for companies to really start scaling their digital transformation initiatives, because technology is available. What is really needed is a change in mindset, and also very strong leadership to really drive the digital vision for the enterprise, so that they start small, scale really fast, and see the benefit and impact.
Yeah, and the third I would also add the skill is the domain or the contextual understanding of your environment. When I say environment, includes the stakeholders, includes what the buyers want in terms of making the most. So I want to sort of talk about your next avatar, Sunil. When you decided to become a solopreneur or become a subject matter expert, while you are a subject matter expert in IoT, you publish a number of articles in LinkedIn. I know you are a hyper influencer. I don't know if that word exists, but you, you have 32,000 followers in LinkedIn. Was that a conscious decision, or did it happen organically when you were attending conferences and everything? Because that's something that's a puzzle for many professionals, saying that, how do I become a top voice, or how do I become a person whom people can follow as well as influence? How did that happen?
Okay, so there are 3 or 4 things that happened. 2020 was the COVID year, you recollect. And 2020, late 2020, AT&T as a company decided that they didn't want to focus on IoT business in most of the world. They wanted to focus IoT only in the US. And late 2020, I was given 2 options. Either to leave the company with a package because they didn't want IoT resources across most of the world. Option 2 they gave me is to take up a different role within AT&T. And I, at that point in time, decided to take up that second role, even though it was nothing to do with IoT, a little bit of it, but it was a completely different role. And I took it up because at that point in time, I felt that it's easier to be in the system and look out for jobs rather than leaving and then looking out, right? So 2021 till April, till the end of 2021, the whole of 2021, I was actually doing a job doing something which was not really of my interest, but I kept doing it. Of course, I met my KPIs and all that. But then I realized toward the end of 2021 that, I should not continue this. I should do what I really like doing. And my passion was still IoT. And even that 1 year when I was doing something which is totally not related to IoT, my boss was very nice. He allowed me to speak at forums on IoT and all that. And he allowed me to continue my speaking engagement. So I really have to thank him for that. But 2021 December is when I realized that, I cannot continue doing something which I don't like. And I felt I must pursue my passion on IoT. And then I also felt that I must do something for the startups. And because I used to engage a lot with the startups earlier on during my initial days with AT&T, second role. And then late January is when I put in my papers, and I really decided at that point in time that it's time to kind of pursue my passion. And April 6th is when I left AT&T. But the first 3 months of 2022 is when I was planning for my future. And then I thought, okay, why not I start off by trying to help startups. Some I was helping pro bono, and I was looking for startups which are well funded, who can afford to pay a consulting fee. And that's when I started. I engaged with the consulting. I engaged with a startup who was very strong in supply chain solutions. I told the founder that, hey, I have Enterprise Connects. You need help connecting to enterprise customers. I can try to help you build your partner ecosystem. I can commit about 25 to 30 hours every month for you. Can we talk? And he got interested. He said yes. And then that's how it started. I signed up for a 6-month contract with them, and they used to pay me a retainership. And then unfortunately, late 2022, funding for enterprise-based startups who are offering tech solutions to enterprises, they were affected. Funding dropped, and they couldn't get funding, and they couldn't continue that association. But fortunately, 2023 January, I signed up with another Bangalore-based company, and they were doing a lot of work in the area of sustainability and climate change, especially in the energy optimization space. How you can use AI and IoT to really optimize your energy usage. Could be a factory, could be a large building, a large retail store, and all that. And so I signed up with them Jan 2023 for a 1-year period, and we had renewed last year. And my contract again expired later this year. But over 2.5 years, I really got very passionate about the whole climate change and sustainability clause, Gayatri, because that's one of the biggest challenges, not just India, but the globe is facing, right? Climate change. And today, energy consumption is huge, right? I mean, today, if you look at India or there's a study which says that if you look at built environments, whether it's hospitals, large buildings, campuses, tech parks, 40% of energy consumption, 40% of carbon emissions are from built environments. And the moment you increase carbon emissions, it has an impact on environment, right? You see these unusual weather events, right?
GHG is a big
heavy
one.
raining.
Correct.
Sorry. Yeah, so I mean, you see these freak weather events, right? Heavy rainfall, then there are periods of drought, extreme heat, right? All precipitated by higher carbon emission that is really causing havoc. And climate change is actually impacting the countries, right? And imagine how it is going to be 5 years, 10 years down the line. And fortunately today, Gayatri, you can use technology to manage your environment better, especially how you can optimize energy, right? I mean, if you just look at a large building, a biggest component of energy consumption, and the fact that higher the energy consumption, your bills are obviously higher. But heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Any large building today, air conditioning constitutes a huge portion of your energy consumption, and thereby it contributes to your high energy bills. But thanks to technology today, you can actually optimize air conditioning. You can monitor the entire HVAC system, the chillers, the air handling units. You can use AI to diagnose faults early in a system. You can regulate air conditioning based on thermal, external weather conditions, based on footfall. That's all IoT, right? So today, that technology available, which can allow you to monitor and optimize HVAC and thereby reduce your carbon emissions. And in this context, I just wanted to give you an example, Gayatri. Changi Airport, Singapore, one of the biggest airports in the world, right? They have 280 gates in Changi Airport.
Okay.
Now, unlike India, where you can just go from one gate to the other, right? You can just walk across gates, right? In Singapore, the gates are closed gates. So what happens is that whenever after a flight departs from a particular gate, there's at least a 45-minute to 1 hour gap between the next departure. Correct? Mostly it's 45 minutes to 1 hour. And so just look at flight departures, right? So what was happening in Changi Airport is that air conditioning and lighting for those gates were always kept on, irrespective of whether a flight has departed. There's nobody there at the gate. Air conditioning on, lighting on. You can imagine the bills, right? And what a waste of energy. You are consuming electricity, generating carbon. And here was this company, Digital Blanket company, which I consulted earlier called Flamenco. They worked with a partner and they actually built a solution where they could regulate the air conditioning and lighting of 280 gates by getting data from the flight display and information system. It's called FIDS, Flight Information and Display System. So getting data from FIDS and then correlating data coming in from the building management system, they were able to regulate air conditioning. So the moment a flight departs, immediately lighting off, air conditioning off. 15-20 minutes before departure, air conditioning is on, lighting is on, and they adjust the air conditioning based on footfalls, right? So lesser people in the room, you really don't need too much of cooling, right? More people, you need more cooling, right? So basis, and there it's completely IoT and data analytics and AI. Using that, they are able to optimize air conditioning and lighting across 280 gates, significant savings, right? I just wanted to give you the example. Same thing you can apply even in a large office environment, right? Many times, or even in large hotels, large convention centers. I mean, at times you would feel uncomfortable. Why is temperature kept at 18 degrees? Only 10 people here, right? You can actually optimize based on comfort, based on external weather, footfall, and so on, right? So I really want to do something for the startups. Yeah.
Amazing story, Sunil, in terms of mixing not only the software part of it, connecting the IoT and connecting the footfalls, the flight data, and ensuring that energy is optimized. When I walk into any of these spaces, right, Ramanujan IT City in Chennai or the Phoenix, if you are Phoenix IT Park, Phoenix IT Park in Hyderabad, even on the weekend, all the lights are on. It's a shame sometimes, saying how do you leave it on for so long? And I'm not very sure about the air AC. Hopefully it's off, but it is not a very cool thing. But I have often had this debate that why you keep it on. There is always this conversation that if you don't leave it on, how will people know that there's such a building exists? So there is, I think, how do you answer some of those things is a question that it's going to be a big ticket item when it comes to scaling such sustainable solutions, right?
I think a lot more awareness needs to be created among the facility heads, building owners, that, if you can optimize your air conditioning, if you switch it on only or adjust cooling based on footfalls, switch it off and nobody's around. Just the awareness that by just running these air conditioners, you're generating so much of carbon emission, right? And which is very harmful to the environment, right? And triggering all these climatic events, right? So a lot more awareness. And one more important thing is telling them that it is actually making business sense when you're able to optimize your air conditioning, because it is meaning lower energy bills for you, right? So it is actually saving costs for them. So you have to talk about it from two aspects. One is the larger impact on environment, and secondly, and more importantly, his cost of energy usage is going to come down, right? And it's a benefit at the end of the day for him, Gayatri.
I think that's a key, I guess, in terms of answering that business outcomes, and not just from a traditional mindset of, hey, where there is office, there has to be all the lights on, and that sort of a. So talking of transformation of mindset, you mentioned about your collaboration with 200 odd companies in terms of doing this digital transformation of companies, MSMEs, right? Because MSMEs are going to be the future of the world. And how do you engage with so many people? Is something that the same question I asked in terms of LinkedIn. I mean, if 32,000 followers you have, I'm sure you must be having tons of messages on a daily basis in your LinkedIn, WhatsApp, everything, right? So how do you manage so much of data in your own daily life? I'm amazed because every time I speak to you, you remember the last time we spoke. I mean, how do you remember? I'm sure this is a technique that a lot of people will appreciate and try to understand. I hope it's not a personal question, if you can share that.
Really, it's actually not that I'm bombarded with messages, but I prioritize what I need to respond to and what I should not be responding to.
Okay.
Right. I'm also very careful in terms of engaging with content which other people post.
Okay.
Right. Because the moment you start commenting, then responses come and all that stuff. So I found that way by which I can prioritize what I need to respond to, what I should not be responding to. And that's one. And the second thing is that there's enough things for me to do to keep me busy, right? Whether it is speaking at an event or my engagement with the with the current company that I'm consulting, or even with some of the CI and ASCOM initiatives. I do a lot of reading, Gayatri. I spend one thing which I do is read up the Economic Times and Times of India cover to cover every day. I make sure I do that because I also have to be understanding what is happening in the overall business environment, political environment, which is also equally important. But I do a lot of reading. I subscribe to some very good websites, some very good apps where I get a lot of information, which will help me. And I connect, with leaders who share their experiences or knowledge. And one thing which I consciously try to do, Gayatri, is that. When I specifically do events, when I speak at events or do sessions, I largely try to focus on examples of companies who have seen impact of digital transformation, right? Because that is where the audience can relate to. It's nice to talk about technology, about AI, IoT, cloud, all that. But what will really fascinate people is when they hear examples of what was the challenge before they implemented a solution and how they went about implementing it and the positive impact that it has created after they have implemented, right? So I've also I have had enough opportunities to be part of national juries that were constituted by CII, ET, when they have companies having to submit their nominations for different award programs across different categories: small, medium, large, best quality, best innovative product, and so on and so forth. So I kind of got exposed to a number of use cases and different kinds of solutions that companies are trying to put together. So and I actually use those examples. I share those case studies whenever I speak at events and all that stuff. So I found a way to manage my time, manage to prioritize what I have to respond to, what I don't. And I make sure that I have enough to read every day because, Gayatri, I think you have to agree that learning never stops, right? We are in a perpetual lifelong journey. And the moment learning stops, then I think, it's just not good for you, right? I mean, we are today in that stage. Age doesn't matter. One has to constantly be in that age of learning, unlearning what is not needed, learning what is required. And so that's it, Gayatri. Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing way to distill it, Sunil, because I see you creating content. So I have seen some of the speaking events that you've gone. You don't repeat content, or when you post in LinkedIn also, you have always fresh content. I know you work on building it fresh in terms of various case studies, stories, and make it very relatable, not just from people who are listening. I think that I found it very enchanting because when I have to build content, for example, we run a Sangatna founder circle every month we for women entrepreneurs. When we have to speak, right, every time we actually have to spend for half an hour or 45 minutes, we spend minimum of 4 to 5 hours researching the topic and ensuring that we are add value, think about what people want and everything. I'm sure you're also doing similar number of hours, right? For 1 hour of content, you actually have to work on that, build on it, and then make it clean, right? I mean, that's amazing. I have to just say that, hats off to you.
Yeah.
Get it.
I think it's important that the content is one thing, but content which can appeal to a user is most important, right? What are those keywords that you need to have? What is that will ensure the people who read the content engages the content, which is very critical. So while I do my own research, while I try to put my thoughts together and frame my content, I must admit that I also use the help of ChatGPT to help me to streamline it better. And the ChatGPT is really a fantastic tool where you put in all the content, and if you want it to be structured in a certain manner with the right keywords and all that stuff, it really helps you. And it actually has improved my productivity a lot after I started to use the paid version of ChatGPT 4.0, Gayatri.
I use the perplexity.ai. I use the paid version of it. And I found
Okay.
some of the, so when we do due diligence and identify aspects of it, it's a lot easier to get it done. I almost feel, to my dismay, that I actually am very slow compared to ChatGPT. So I'll give an example, and please, I hope our listeners don't laugh at me. I spent about almost 45 minutes to write a blog. Okay. And I finished writing it, and I said, what, I will probably ask ChatGPT if this is good. Within a fraction of a second, it responded with a nice title for it. And not only that, it actually pointed out a couple of grammatical mistakes and asked me if I have to rewrite it. And it actually rewrote with a few aspects of it. I was amazed that something that took me 45 minutes, it didn't even take 5 minutes to read and cross-reference, and said, oh, you have similar content you have posted in another blog, you actually have to change this. I was like flabbergasted. So
really very good productivity tool, and it's only aiding you and helping you get better and reducing your time it takes to work on something like this. You get more time to do other stuff, right? So it is a great productivity tool.
Yeah.
I benefited a lot from the time I started to use ChatGPT.
So in fact, I will add one more. For me, coming from a down south, I've come from a non-Tamil speaking, non-English, right? Tamil speaking government education. I found ChatGPT almost helping me publish content, if you know what I mean. Saying, okay, don't fear about it. Don't worry about grammar, flow, everything. I will manage that part. You bring the content, I will bring the. So I think I felt it a lot of confidence boosting when you use some of these AI tools effectively. Obviously, not to plagiarize or anything. I felt that. So I want to slightly switch context in terms of Sunil, in terms of you are working with so many startups, helping them bolster. In fact, I wanted to share that when I was preparing for this meeting, for this podcast, I was thinking, you are almost like a bit of a ChatGPT for your startups, correct? So you bring in a lot of wealth, and without the machine part of it, but also creating that wealth of knowledge and the safeguards, guardrails for your startups. Do you ever feel that you're overwhelmed with amount of information you're expected to give them, guide them, and so many people you're working with them? How do you manage those things? So that's something that I'm very impressed, and I wanted to ask.
Yeah, so see, there are specifically a couple of areas where I try to help startups. And again, the startups that I engage with, some are paid engagement, some are pro bono. I largely look at startups who are in the technology side, especially we're using AI, IoT and AI. So one is they have to using AI and IoT as part of their overall solution. Number two, they are trying to address certain enterprise use cases, especially manufacturing, commercial real estate. So anything to do with smart manufacturing, anything to do with energy optimization, sustainability, climate change, and so on and so forth. So my focus is largely limited to these areas. I don't go beyond. So if anyone comes with a B2C kind of a idea, I straight away say that's not my forte, because I really have no clue on the B2C side. So my forte is B2B. And again, within B2B, it's very focused. AI and IoT solutions for manufacturing, for commercial real estate, and especially in the area of sustainability, climate change, everything to do with operational excellence, and so on and so forth, right? I just look at two parts. One is there are some startups who come to me with an idea, saying that I have an idea, I want to take it to the next level, which is build a minimum viable product. I give my inputs to them, whether that idea is a good idea or a bad idea. I don't say it's a bad idea, but I tell them the pros and cons. If they go ahead with the idea, these are the pros, these are the cons, negatives, right? So that is one. So there is this one part of it where I just listen to the idea and then give my opinion. Then there are a bunch of startups who already have a product and service they want to grow and scale, and they come to me, help, saying that what is that they can do to grow and scale. And that's when I give them guidance and inputs, specifically how they should kind of go about doing it. The need for them to build the partner ecosystem and the strategy and approach to reach out to enterprise customers and so on and so forth, right? So I largely focus on these areas: the validation of a business idea, ideas in terms of how they can grow and build partners and associate with industry bodies, and then connect with leaders and so on and so forth. So that way, I kind of restricted it to this part only, Gayatri. I'm not in B2C and very focused on what specific areas I want to touch upon, Gayatri. So that makes it a little more easier. Yeah.
I think that this is a great idea to keep yourself focused, to not get distracted and says, okay, this I will do, that I'll do. But where you have expertise, give that and
only focus on that.
Very, very, very nice, Sunil. I know I have taken to a lot of your time. Any advice that you want to share with our listeners, Sunil, in terms of your own life learnings? You've had such a fantastic career, not just as a startup guru and enabling so many startups, being mentor, and now be a part of ISB. What are the few, if you want to share few learnings that you want to share in terms of how to shape career with the current changing world?
3 or 4 things, Gayatri. One I've already covered. We have to be on that lifelong learning journey. Learning never stops. So you got to constantly learn. I got a lot of my learning, not just from reading, but from industry events. And I always want to emphasize the importance of people attending industry events, because all my connects that I built, the learning that I got happened at industry events. In the past, I used to attend industry events as a delegate, and today, by God's grace, I'm speaking at industry events. So I really want to emphasize the importance of attending industry events relevant to your area of interest, right? Number 2. Third is that you have to think about what is the legacy that you want to leave behind, right? See, it's one thing to accumulate whatever is needed from a financial health perspective. Of course, you're taking care of your family, you're building a corpus. You don't want to get to a situation where, 5 years, 10 years down the line, you might run into challenges. So you got to obviously take care of that piece. And I took care of that piece. And that's why I took that call to leave corporate and get into what I'm currently doing. But that consciousness, within me, that I must give something back to the nation and create an impact and leave a legacy behind. Tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years later, when I leave the world, what should people remember Sunil David about? Have I created an impact where people will remember me as, as so and so, right? That was something which was really compelling. That was something which made me feel that it's time to give something back to the nation, something to the startups, and then also trying to help industry to realize the importance of technology, because forget about growth, even sustaining business in today's times is very challenging, right? So this is what I would advocate. What are you leaving behind? Are you creating impact through the work that you're doing? Are you sharing your learning and experience with others, which I always advocate people to do, right? So these are 2 or 3 things. And I think even eventually, Gayatri, it's holistic thing, right? I mean, it's one is your work-related matters. Second is, don't forget your physical aspect. Your health has to be handled properly, and you got to make sure that you take care of your health, and the spiritual dimension as well, right? So you got to make sure that there's a balance between all these 3 that will make you a really well-rounded and a great human being and an individual, Gayatri.
Wow. in less than 2 minutes, you actually started from ensuring that your financial health is taken care to the nation building. I'm so honored to have you here. Wish you the very, very good luck.
Thank you for inviting me, Gayatri. It was a pleasure conversing with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Anita for promoting the Software People Stories.
If you like this episode,
Please subscribe on your favorite podcast client.
And spread the word in your network.
if you'd like to share your story,
Contact us at podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.